So hello, my name is Leslie Maloney. I live in Palm Bay, Florida, and I've been here since 1984, so I've seen a lot of changes over the years. I'm chair of our local Sierra Club group here in Brevard County and Indian River County, and I'm also on the board of the Brevard Indian River Lagoon Coalition. So I'm involved in a lot of the issues, particularly close with the lagoon. So I'm here to talk about a few stories as far as being a resident here in Brevard and what I've seen over the years, starting with Tropical Storm Faye. Tropical Storm Faye hit here in 2008 and dropped roughly 25 inches of rain, give or take, in different areas of Brevard County. My mom at that time lived in West Melbourne, and I remember going over to her house, and she lived in a fairly new development. The development probably was put up around 2000, 2001. And half the east side of her development was underwater because the infrastructure could not handle that much rain. And I remember my husband and I coming over. She happened to be luckily on the high end of the block. And literally, we had to park our car down the street from where she lived. And to get to her house, we had to go through water up to our hips. And like I said, she was on the high end. And so everybody down the street from her had flooding to some degree or another. And that went on, the recovery of that, of course, you saw carpet and, everybody, people dealt with that for a good 6 months. And then the city did come in and make some changes with the pipes and so on, but that has not been tested since then. So that's my story as far as Tropical Storm Faye goes. We since then have had several more storms, and I know in my neighborhood, my husband and I live in Lockmar Estates in Palm Bay. We are always concerned there's certain amounts of water laying typically during those storms, and we are always concerned about our septic tank, because when you have water laying, and this is typical for our neighborhood, for long periods of time on top of your septic tank will not work. And so my husband regularly will warn the family when we get to a certain point with flooding, be careful, really start to regulate yourself as far as using the toilet and flushing and all that kind of stuff, because we don't want to have a problem with our septic tank. Luckily, it has not happened to us personally, but we've had many neighbors experience that through these different storms. Also had a recent story, not so much with Hurricane Irma, but the one before that hit, and we've been hit so much recently I don't even remember the name, but it's within the last couple of years. We had some neighbors on the next block noticing as the storm was coming through and water was really piling up more than normal on their block. And they went down the street. We happen to live about a half a block off of Tillman Canal, which is a major canal from east to west, drains into the lagoon. So they went down to the end of the street, and they noticed that the huge storm drain was covered. The city had not had an opportunity to go around to all the different storm drains, and it was covered with branches and all this kind of stuff impeding the water, and that's what was creating the problem as far as the backup on the next block over from us with our neighbors. And so for our neighbors and friends, literally they went out in the storm and were clearing it out so that their neighborhood and their street would drain properly. So those are just a few stories about drainage and problems that we are experiencing, and we're expecting that it's sort of becoming a regular thing. Of course, the sea turtles on the beach are being affected by the storms, because typically they come and they are nesting in the summertime, and that's when the storms hit, and so you'll see a lot of eggshells and things like that if we're walking the beach after the storms, so they are impacted. And we have a couple of friends that live beachside that are starting to be concerned about their real estate and feel like sea level rise / these hurricanes that are hitting, and people talking about I'm going to move west, or I'm going to just get out of here. And so I suspect, this is just my opinion, but a couple more storms and you may see more of that as far as real estate beachside. And the whole idea of planned retreat as far as sea level rise is a real thing, and we're not really talking about it too much, but it's right around the corner.